Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MTG Traders. My name is Taryn, and this is Grixis Land Destruction. So I haven't really hit on land destruction in quite a while on the channel. It was probably one of the first videos I ever did, and it was the first video I think I did a video of that I actually didn't have the deck or make the deck of, and that was SBMTG's original blue-red land destruction back when Shadows over Innistrad was still in Standard. But it's been several months since then. And I had another one I did right before the rotation then, but I haven't done one with Our Devastation, Amonkhet, and Ixalan all kind of together in the standard format. And that is what this deck is. Sadly, there are not a lot of great land destruction options, but I really wanted to make this work and see if it could actually be competitive. And I'm like tier 3, tier 4 kind of way. But still be fun. But of course, before I get into the video, guys, like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell right beside the button to know when we upload new videos on the channel and when we go live on the stream right here on YouTube. But of course, without further ado, let's get into it. We have 8 creatures in this deck. We have 4 Baral, Chief of Compliance, a 2-mana 1/3 Legendary Human Wizard. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So if you guys know anything about land destruction, it's normally at 4 mana or 5 mana, depending on what it's doing. And of course, whenever a spell or ability you control counters a spell, you may draw a card if you do discard a card. So that secondary ability, while it may come into play in game 1, it's not really going to be a thing we want to kind of lean on heavily. We're really just playing out Baral to make sure our instant and sorcery spells are 1 mana less to cast. Moving on, we have 4 Enigma Drake. This is a 3-mana star 4 Drake with flying. Enigma Drake's power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard, so we'll be burning through a lot of instant and sorcery cards in the deck. There are 21 instant and sorceries in the deck in total, I believe. And so basically, Enigma Drake is our way to close out a match in game 1, making a like 10-4 flyer coming in 2 times and just kind of closing out the match. But that is all the creatures in the deck. Let's get to the land destruction and the spells here. We have 4 Harness Lightning because there are a lot of creature-based strategies in the meta right now. Harness Lightning is going to help deal with them. A 2-mana instant, choose target creature, you get 3 energy, then you may pay any amount of energy. Harness Lightning deals that much damage to that creature, so again, a fantastic removal spell for us, a really great early game damage dealer, and of course in the mid to late game, it can actually do 4, 5, 6 damage if our Harness Lightnings aren't doing all 3 points of damage every single time. Moving on from Harness Lightning though, we have 2 Negate in the main board here. Negate is a 2-mana instant counter target non-creature spell. There are a lot of control decks in the format, as well as a lot of removal and hand hate right now, so Negate is going to kind of help deal with that, mitigate that. And of course, if there's a Baral on the battlefield and they try to Fatal Push it, we can actually use a Negate and get rid of it, and actually draw a card and discard a card from the actual counter thanks to Baral. But moving on from Negate, we have 2 Supreme Will moving up in the 3-mana slot. A 3-mana instant, choose 1 counter target spell unless its controller pays 3, so basically Mana Leak for 1 extra mana. And look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So this is a great way to get out any mana we need, or any kind of extra land destruction, or maybe some other cards in our deck that we really need to use at that moment. Supreme Will is most likely going to be used as a counter card, but if we really need to, we can actually use it as a card to dig for a card in our deck. Next up from Supreme Will, we have 4 Demolish. This is one of the land destruction cards for us. A 4-mana sorcery, destroy target artifact or land. You'll see that a lot of these have destroy target artifact or land, so that's going to be really great against a Godfrey gift strategy or any kind of artifact-based strategy, and I think that's just swell. But of course, Demolish is very straightforward. 4-mana sorcery, destroy target artifact or land. Next up, we have Violent Impact. 4-mana sorcery, again, destroy target artifact or land, but it does have cycling for 2 colorless mana, so it really helps us in the mid to late game, as far as if we don't need land destruction and we just need cards in the graveyard for our Enigma Drake to kind of attack out with. So Violent Impact can be cycled to the graveyard, giving Enigma Drake a point of power, but also can be used to destroy a target artifact or land. Next up, we have 3 Spreading Rot. This is one from the Ixalan with the land destruction here. It's a 5-mana sorcery, destroy target land, its controller loses 2 life, and I think that is just gravy. Now this is a Grixis list. Some of you guys might be asking, where is Star of Extinction? And that will probably be going in a more Gruul land destruction list in the future, so keep an eye out for that. But Spreading Rot is great for us here because it is destroy target land, its controller loses 2 life, which is quite good for us. It's basically like Structural Distortion in the last standard meta. Moving up from the 5-mana slot, we have 2 Rivers Rebuke, a 6-mana sorcery, return all non-land permanents target player controls to their owner's hand. So against a token-based strategy, against a go wide strategy, this is a great way to kind of buy a turn or 2 against our opponent to make sure that we can actually continue kind of locking down their strategy with either destroying their lands or just making sure that we can actually continue attacking out into their life points. Either way, River's Rebuke for us is a fantastic card. But that is it for these spells here. We have 21 in total. Moving on to artifacts, we have 4 Treasure Map, a 2-mana artifact artifact. It's pay 1 colorless and tap it, scry 1, put a landmark counter on treasure map. Then if there are 3 more, we flip it and we get 3 treasure tokens. And the 3 treasure tokens with the additional land, because we really want to be able to kind of get some extra mana as quickly as we possibly can, so we can actually get our land destruction going as quickly as we possibly can. So getting a brawl, then getting a treasure map, and then kind of making sure that those are kind of staying up on the battlefield until we can get to our land destruction is very good for us. And another way to actually do some super good damage against our opponent is to use Primal Amulet, a 4 mana artifact. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 mana less to cast, so another way to make our instant and sorceries cheaper. And whenever we cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a charge counter on Primal Amulet. If there are 4 or more charge counters on it, you may remove those counters and transform it. And of course, Primal Amulet does transform into Primal Wellspring, which if you want to tap it and add any mana of any color to your mana pool and spend it on an instant sorcery spell, you can actually double that instant sorcery spell. So we can actually destroy 2 lands or destroy 2 artifacts on the battlefield, and that is just insanely powerful and ridiculous. So in the mid to late game, Primal Amulet turning into Primal Wellspring is just going to make it to where our opponent is not going to have any fun. But that is it for actual cards in the main board. Let's go over the lands real quick. We have 4 Aether Hub coming in, giving us 1 energy, and of course we can pay 1 energy and add 1 mana of any color to our mana pool. So this is going to be feeding our Harness Lightning a little bit, but also just kind of giving us a way to tap for any mana, because we do have 3 different colors in the deck. We have 4 Drowned Catacombs, a great buddy land here for us, coming in tapping for blue or black. Then we have 4 Spirebluff Canal, a fast land for us, tapping for red and blue. I think it's actually the most expensive card in the entire deck. So if you wanted to not use Spirebluff Canal, but instead use something else, I think that might be a good idea. Next up, we have 4 Mountain, 4 Island, and of course 4 Swamp, and that is the full 60. Basically, game 1, we're going to try and get out Brawl as quickly as possible, then Treasure Map, then Primal Amulet, and then just start destroying their lands with Violent Impact, Spreading Rod, and Demolish, making sure that our Enigma Drake can be fed enough to where when we play it out, it's actually a real threat on the board, and able to get in for some game-winning damage. But of course, what is our game 2 plan? We can actually transform this deck into a completely different deck for us. Going into the sideboard here, we have 2 Fatal Push, a 1 mana instant. Of course, it's the best black card in Standard at the moment. Destroy target creature if it is converted mana cost 2 or less, and of course Revolt, destroy target creature if it is converted mana cost 4 or less if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn. And more often than not, we'll actually get this with the Treasure Sacrifice to add mana to our mana pool, triggering Revolt also, and using Fatal Push. Next up, we have 3 Lightning Strike, a great way to ding our opponent to the face. 2 mana instant, Lightning Strike deals 3 damage to target creature or player, fantastic for us. Then we have 2 Negate, 2 more Negate, so that's 4 in total in the entire deck. It's a 2 mana instant, of course, counter target non-creature spell, we just went over that. Then we have 2 Sweltering Suns, a great way to deal with a stockpile strategy or a monument strategy. 3 mana sorcery deals 3 damage to each creature, and of course 3 colorless for cycling. We will rarely use the cycling, but 3 damage to each creature is fantastic for us. Next up, we have 2 Hour Devastation. Again, this is just a larger Sweltering Suns for us. 5 mana sorcery, all creatures lose indestructible until end of turn. Hour Devastation deals 5 damage to each creature and each non-bolus planeswalker, so a great way to clear the board for us. Then we have 4 Cut to Ribbons, which is our secondary win condition. Basically, this deck is turning from a Grixis land destruction deck into a Grixis Amulet deck. So 4 Cut to Ribbons here is a fantastic way to kind of end an opponent thanks to our Primal Amulet as well. So Cut is 2 mana to deal 4 damage to target creature, and of course Ribbons is X and 2 black. Each opponent loses X life, and of course with Primal Wellspring, a flipped Primal Amulet, you can actually double that and make sure to close out a match really quickly. And that is the full 75, guys. On MTG Trace, this is coming to a decent 60 tickets. On paper, it's coming to about 143 buckaroos, but I think it's pretty fun. Now keep in mind, land destruction is not the top tier or best way to win in Standard at the moment, but it still is pretty viable, and I think it's still a lot of fun. One of the things I will say is it is kind of sad not to have Star of Extinction in here, since it does destroy a target land, but we might just be hitting that in a Gruul land destruction strategy pretty soon. But of course, that is the deck, guys. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you have any comments or suggestions for it? Please leave it in the comments below. Would love to talk to you guys. I'm always down there whenever the video goes up, trying to kind of start a conversation. But of course, if you liked the video, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I have more videos coming out every single weekday. Of course, on Monday, we have Modern Monday, Tuesday is Standard, Wednesday is Commander, Thursday is Dealer's Choice, so I get to pick whatever format I want to do, and Fridays, of course, Fan Friday streams. But that's it for the video, guys. I love you, and I will see you in the next video.